Won't kill your hard drive as much. Oh,
Okay,
nice.
it's recording.
Okay. Hello,
Mhm.
everyone. Welcome to Read a Classic Novel Together. This is the channel where we tackle the great famous novels that you pretend you have read when you were at a dinner party with your well-educated and generally superior friends. I'm Ash Clifton. I'm here with my colleague and dear friend, Margaret Luongo. Margaret is the author of two acclaimed short story collections. She is also an associate professor of creative writing at Miami University in Ohio, which is, I believe, where she is
Mhm.
sitting now.
Mhm.
You can read more about her on her website, margaretluongo.com. And for this first episode, we have read part one of Jean Rhys's Wide Sargasso Sea. I don't know if I'm pronouncing Sargasso correctly or Jean Rhys correctly, but I hope I am.
I think Sargasso is right, and I don't know about her name. I've been saying it in my head, Jean Rhys, but I have no idea. So,
Reese, Rice, let's stick with Reese. Reese is
okay,
probably correct.
beats
Yes.
me.
Yeah. So like I said, we have not read ahead. So if you, dear viewer, have not read part one, uh, pause the video now, go read it. We'll wait, come back, and we'll talk about it. So it's the first part is only about 50 something pages.
Mm-hmm.
I found it a pretty quick read, even
Yeah, it really is.
yeah.
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 Um, I did read ahead and I oh, there you are.
Sorry.
That's okay. Um, and then I went back to reread some of the first section and I felt much more grounded.
Yeah.
Having read the first section and all the notes, the footnotes. I don't know which edition you have, but I got the Norton Critical edition from the library.
Oh,
And
okay.
so there was a foreword, but no, I mean I haven't read the essays at the back of the book. I'm just
Right.
gonna read
Yes.
the book and have that experience, and then I'll read the essays later.
Right. Yeah, I just have the paperback. Looks like a kind of a mass market paperback
Mhm.
edition.
Mhm.
But like I said, I I found the writing. I mean, it's kind of like a little bit like stream of consciousness, but it's very accessible stream of consciousness. I mean,
Mhm.
there's
Mhm.
you always kind of know what's going on, uh,
Mhm.
and it's written in a modern kind of sensibility, I guess. Even though
Mhm.
I didn't realize I'm probably stupid in this, but I didn't realize it was set back in the 19th century until near
Mhm.
the end of this part. I don't know why I
Okay.
wouldn't. I knew it was a long time ago, but it
Yeah.
obviously it happens right after slavery was abolished in the British
Yeah.
Empire.
Mhm.
So I was
Mhm.
like 1830 something.
I don't know the exact date, but yeah,
But she
pretty
says it's eight.
earlier
She says it's
than we did, earlier than the States did, that's for sure.
yes indeed, yes indeed.
Mm.
I'm sorry, I'm playing with my video, but
You're disappearing into your books. It's kind of cool.
oh, thank you. I'll just go green for a while.
Okay.
Um, yeah, but like I said, I kind of like the way that it it covers like what almost all of her childhood in this first part.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it
Mm-hmm.
starts out when she's what I thought she was like 11, 12, something at the
Something
beginning.
like that. Yeah.
Yeah, she has a very naive perception of the world, which is
Mm-hmm.
probably made worse because her world is so
Mm-hmm.
constricted.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, she has no family. Her mother is obviously physically there, but she's not emotionally or mentally there.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
And they're surrounded by people who despise them
right,
and look down on them for different reasons. They don't
right.
fit in anywhere. They have no people.
They have no niche
Yeah.
because she is, as I read it, she is white, putatively.
Right,
Her
right.
mother is white,
Mm-hmm.
um, but they aren't white enough for the
Right.
white people. They must have some biracial stuff going on because her cousin is clearly she calls her cousin colored.
Mm.
So but they go as white, and but the black people despised them.
Mhm. Mhm.
They call them the white N-word,
Yes. Yeah.
and the British white people
Mhm.
also almost as badly despised.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know if the cousin is he the one who, oh wait, have you read into the second section
No,
yet? Okay,
no,
all
no,
right,
no.
forget it. I'm not going to say anything.
Oh,
Forget it. Nope. Um, but yeah, going back to what you were talking about, staying so, being in Bertha Antoinette's point of view.
right,
For the first section, we get that thing we don't get in Jane Eyre, what's going on with her.
right.
And I mean, that's gold for fiction writers, going to that place where nobody knows, like writing into the gap.
Hmm.
So I love the idea of this prequel and some having Bertha's backstory. And when I talk with students, about cause and effect in short stories, sometimes they want to give a whole lot of backstory to show why their character is the way they are, why they do what
Hmm.
they do. And it often comes across as reductive, because there are so many things that go into what make us, who we are and everything. Um, but this is, it's in Antoinette's own words and it's kind of playing out in real time for her. And, we can see the connections and, some cause and effect. And it's like varied, there's um, what she's inherited from her mother and
Right.
the society that she's growing up in and how alien she is in it. And, yeah, and then this really cruel system that she and Rochester are part of, like, maybe her family dupes him a little, but he's using her for money.
Right.
So, it's
Yeah.
just kind of gross for everybody. Um, so you can kind of make connections to Jane Eyre, what happens. You
Well,
get,
you can. I have not read Jane.
oh,
So you've got the advantage on me there. But I did know just from like reading about the book a little bit that, yeah, the conceit of the book is that she's imagining the backstory of a character in Jane Eyre, right?
yes, yeah,
A mad
Rochester's
woman
first wife,
who
yes,
is
the
like,
mad woman in the attic.
right, no spoilers here. Everybody's, I think, knows that there's
Yeah.
some gothic imprisonment going on in Jane Eyre.
Mhm.
So, but yeah, having not read it, I mean, I found it, having grown up in a family with schizophrenia in it,
Mm.
it seems right on the money. The way the
Mm.
mom hates light, she
Mm.
avoids the window. She likes shade,
Mhm.
and the mother gets crazier and crazier. I mean, I assume Antoinette is going to become the mad woman in Jane Eyre, but the
Mhm.
mother is the first mad woman in this
Right.
book.
That's right.
And even though she gets more at the beginning, she's not that mad. In fact, she's still kind of functioning.
Hmm.
She comforts Antoinette when she has the fight with Tia and everything, and
Mhm.
I think that's when.
Mhm.
But she gets crazier,
Mhm.
especially after her horse is killed, which I found one of the more disturbing
Yeah, me
moments
too.
in this part one. Her
Yeah.
only kind of release is riding her horseback riding, and then
Mhm.
somebody killed the horse, murders the horse,
Yeah.
which uh, of all the bad things that happen in this part one, that for some
Mhm.
reason, I guess I'm just a sucker for
Yeah.
animals.
I know, right? Well, it's also attached to their freedom a little bit,
Yeah,
So she says now we're doomed, like
right.
we can't escape.
I can't even ride out.
Yeah.
Can't
Yeah.
ride off into this.
Yeah.
By the way, I mean this is all set in Jamaica, right?
Yeah.
Am I wrong?
Yes. I
Okay.
think, is it Haiti or Jamaica? Gosh, this is
I,
terrible. I should remember that detail.
well, I think when she's at the convent, I know that's in Jamaica. So
Okay.
I think it's all in Jamaica. I
Okay.
don't know whereabouts. She mentions Spanish Town
Hmm.
um, when she finally, the arc of this part one is it's pretty bleak, but towards the end of part one, it's a little bit less bleak because she finally ends up
Hmm.
getting, exiled to this convent after, her mother gets sick and
Mm-hmm.
dies. And
Mm-hmm.
that's actually the best thing that's happened to her in a long time
Right.
because the
Yeah.
nuns are actually much more functional and caring for her.
Yeah. She might be getting an education too.
Yeah, yeah,
That was a threat when I was a teenager. We're going to send you to the convent school,
exactly.
but
Yeah,
it's like a little salvation for her.
yeah.
Brief period.
It's an oasis.
Yeah.
And the main nun, I forget her name,
Mm.
is very comforting to her. And she seems like she has some wisdom. And just the
Mhm.
other nun that the kids think is not so bright, but she's okay too. Uh,
Mhm.
but yeah, I mean, it's like the first part is almost in 3 acts, I thought. There's the
Okay.
part when she's like 10 or 11.
Mhm.
And then there's the middle section after the mom hooks up with Mr. Mason,
Mhm.
who is a completely unsympathetic. I mean, he's not unsympathetic, but he's a
Mhm.
completely useless character. I mean, he does nothing for them, except I guess give them some respectability and cash.
Yes, the cash seems pretty important. I
Yes,
mean,
yeah. But and then they are immediately faced this kind of it's an uprising of some kind of
mhm.
the local folk who burn them out.
Mhm.
The little brother is killed.
Mhm.
Um, and and then there's that gap, that sort of discontinuity when she's sick. Antoinette is sick, right? And
Mhm.
something happened to her skull. I don't know what happened, but she talks about how when she wakes up, she sees her hair has been cut off and it's in the drawer, and she's got some kind of thing going on her head. I thought for a second, okay, have they like messed with her brain or something? But no, she must have just like had a concussion or something and
Yeah.
been
I
taking a while to recover.
Yeah, I actually don't remember that. I wish I had finished rereading the first section before
It's
we
okay.
talked
There's so
about it.
much going on.
There's a lot going on.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, and then she gets married off, right? Do we find out about that in the
Not
and they're
yet, but it's
okay.
foreshadowed because the stepdad says he's going to take her to England, and
Oh,
he's bought her
right.
a lot of dresses and pretty things.
That's
So he's
right.
obviously, and he mentions that Aunt Cora's going to come back and stay with him for a while, and somebody else is going to come back, and he won't say who. So I don't
Mm-hmm.
know. We'll find out, or I'll find out.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I know she's got to get married off. Um, yeah, so I'm kind of digging it so far.
Yeah, I'm also surprised how accessible it is, and
Yeah,
the notes are helping me understand the social context, which I obviously haven't um, retained fully because I couldn't remember if they were in Jamaica or Haiti. But Jamaica, that makes sense because it's British, right? So, and
right.
then they're English, so that
Yeah,
makes sense.
yeah,
Um, and yeah, I think it's easier even after you've read it once with all the notes and then going back again. Um, yeah.
yeah. And I, I'm reading a hard copy as you are too.
Mhm.
Um, which is now that I've read so many books on the Kindle, I'm kind of almost worried because I'm afraid I'll see a word that I don't know and I can't just highlight it, and
You
wait
have
for
to
it to
get your
tell me.
dictionary.
I have to dig out but the only words I had to look up in this book so far, one was obeya, which
Oh yeah.
I didn't know what that was. Did you know what that was?
I didn't know, but it was explained in the notes, the very tiny notes.
See,
I have to take off my glasses and get really close to the page.
you have the good edition.
Yeah,
So you
that
have the Norton
Norton.
edition, right? So
They
if
know
I
what they're
had the Norton
doing.
edition, I wouldn't have had to Google that. But it's like sorcery, right? It's like
Yeah.
for Jamaican, it's like
Hmm.
Santeria, kind of, is what
Hmm.
I
Hmm.
thought. But I had no idea that. So Christophine, who
Yeah.
is the kind of housekeeper nanny, right? Cook,
Yep.
housekeeper. It's the closest thing Antoinette has to a mother,
Mm.
really.
Yeah. Yep.
She is a practitioner of Obeah.
I guess so. I
Yeah,
think that's implied.
right. So, for whatever that's worth, and I have a
Mhm.
feeling Christophine is going to disappear from the story, after this, but you don't want to spoil it, and I don't want you
Mm-mm.
to. So,
No.
So yeah, so is there anything else I want to say about it right now?
Well, again, like that, I'm glad you brought up that the convent section because, if you have read Jane Eyre while she's enjoying this, these peaceful years at the convent where it seems like her life might actually be okay,
Right.
you know what happens to her.
Yeah.
And she's just portrayed here with so much sympathy,
Right.
and you don't get that like in Jane Eyre. She's the obstacle, she's the Rochester's burden and the obstacle to his happiness with
Right.
Jane. I mean,
Right.
he's a bit of his own obstacle to his happiness, but that's that she's Bertha Antoinetta's weighing on him. And here you see her full humanity, which is nice. So I just
Right.
want to champion the book for that reason, humanizing the mad woman in the attic.
Yeah, it's and I guess, probably Jean Rhys reading Jane Eyre. I mean, she
Mhm.
probably saw a bit of herself
Yeah.
being a colonial Jamaican, an English
Hmm.
Jamaican, in that character as much as in Jane Eyre, the because Jane Eyre is a purely British girl, right? I mean, she's
Hmm.
not from the colonies or anything.
Mm-mm.
That's my
I
ignorance
don't
of
think so. Yeah.
Bronte. Um, so yeah, in the convent, that whole section, that last act, it almost felt like she was in high school, It's just there's
Hmm.
the cool girls, the pretty girls, the three sisters, the Plana sisters, I guess. There's Louise and Ellen, and I in my high school there were the triplets, There was
Wow.
the Astenowich sisters, Debbie, Donna, and Denise. They were gorgeous. They're like the most popular girls in the school.
Wow.
I was like, that's
Triplets.
the Astenowich sisters.
Were they
Um,
mean or were they nice?
no, they were very nice,
Oh,
very sweet.
that's good.
Yeah, there were other, mean people. But yeah, how did I get on that? That's a hell of a digression. But
Um,
anyway,
oh
so
yeah.
but yeah, that all struck me as very believable, that while
Hmm.
she's in this it's the first time she's ever really been in a school, I guess, right?
Yeah. I
She's
mean,
been
imagine
living,
how much trouble you would have gotten in if you hadn't been in school,
right.
right? Just
Yeah.
running feral. Um,
Yes. Yes. And
um,
with a crazy mother.
yeah. Gosh, what was the other thing? There was something about the convent. Um, oh my gosh, I can't remember what I was going to say.
You spoke about something called parataxis last
Oh
time.
yeah, I
I
am
don't know
gonna
what that
get.
is.
Okay, I'll get there. I'm annoyed with myself that I'm forgetting this thing, whatever it was. Oh, okay. I just wanted to say that I had no idea about that there was this sub group of British citizens who were white, but who were
Right.
looked down by the English, British
Yeah.
citizens, and who were also despised by the Black people of Jamaica,
Mhm.
um, the original inhabitants. And they just didn't fit in. And yeah, Jean Rhys was one of those people. I had no idea about that little subset of
Yeah.
British citizenry.
Subculture.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't either. And I was thinking the same thing when I was reading the book. I'm kind of surprised that this book hasn't been, taught more in like high
Mm,
school and college because it's got that theme, which is kind of the classic theme of the last 50 years of, this outsider culture. It's not as racial as in some books, but there's a racial component to it.
mhm, for
Uh,
sure.
it reminded me a little bit of that movie Green Book. That's the central thrust of that movie. The music professor in that movie, he's too black for the white people. He's too white for the black people. And he has
Mm,
nowhere to fit in. And
right.
that's the tragedy. That's the pathos of that
Mhm,
movie, which ends happily, fortunately, but
mhm,
kind of makes his own community.
mm,
But she doesn't have a community.
mm-mm,
Not even
mm-mm,
the community of other colonial British people because they're bankrupted. The dad
mhm.
has died, right? I don't know if he killed himself
Yeah,
or died.
I don't remember. Yeah, he's
But
gone. He's
yeah,
gone.
there are people gossiping about, that he was kind of a loser. And
Hmm.
that after emancipation, he was, bankrupt.
Mhm.
So,
Mhm.
and yeah, it's funny, but it's also so sad when there's another little kid in the story, a little Jamaican girl who calls her white cockroach. I thought that was hilarious. Follows her
Right.
around calling her white cockroach.
That's gonna hurt your self-esteem.
Yeah, yeah, you're just a white cockroach. Well, so yeah,
Um, okay, so I'm just gonna read you the definition of parataxis so that
okay,
we have it really solid.
please, thank you.
The placing of clauses or phrases one after the other without words to indicate coordination or subordination. And the example here is, tell me, comma, how are you?
Mhm.
So stringing together clauses without coordinating conjunctions, just with the comma. And when I learned it, it was just like a thing you could do, like a style
Mhm.
choice. And if you
Yeah,
did it properly, then no one would accuse you of run-on sentences.
right.
Um, but and it can sound really crisp,
Yeah,
and intentional.
yeah.
Um, so it's not something I ever do, really. I mean, I just don't. Um, and I don't see it very often, but
Mhm.
it's all over, um, at least in the first section, in Bertha Antoinette section. It's all over that. And
Right.
and it's I mean, I guess it's her thoughts, so
Yeah,
it's portraying how she's thinking. Um,
yeah.
but as I was reading it, I was thinking, okay, if I encountered this in student writing, how would I take it? I'd probably pause and think,
Right.
hey, is this like a good use of,
Mhm.
is this even parataxis? I don't know if this even qualifies as, but because it's like an acclaimed book and a
Mhm.
classic by a well-respected writer, I'm just like, oh yeah, that's fine. I'm
Yeah.
just going to keep going. So it does, I mean, I think it's the teaching of mechanics is not as prescriptive as it maybe was years ago.
Right.
Um, and certainly when I teach it, it's more about, learning the tools that you have at your disposal and
Mhm.
manipulating them for emphasis or for effect, whatever effect you're going for.
Right.
So it's never about correctness for the sake of correctness. But it did give me pause and I like kind of put myself on notice to be um less inclined. I mean, I don't grade anything with a pen anymore. It's all on,
Right.
Word docs or speed grader in Canvas. Um, so, but I might not be so quick to make an edit or type a comment in the margins.
Mhm.
Just like read it and see the overall
Yeah.
effect.
Yeah, and that's why I was saying it. I mean, yeah, I was aware of that too. That's why I said it felt a little bit like stream of consciousness. That's
Hmm.
what
Yeah,
we do think in run-on sentences pretty often, especially when we're excited
yeah.
or in this case, I felt like, this is obviously a childhood being recollected by someone, an adult with the full access to adult language,
Mm-hmm.
but the memory is kind of smeared. It kind of blurs together, like there's almost no exposition in this first part,
Hmm.
It's like there's a little bit, but very seldom does she stop and explain what's going on at this point in her life. It's just here's a character saying this, here's a character saying this.
Hmm.
Suddenly there's people burning the house. Suddenly the house is on fire. No explanation why. No,
Hmm.
it's just, it's a lot like, Conrad or Faulkner, you just gotta stick with it. And yeah, I mean, sentences may run together because her thoughts, her memory are running together.
Hmm.
She's obviously a master prose
Hmm.
stylist, I would say.
Hmm.
Even though I've never read her before, didn't know anything about her before.
Hmm.
But yeah,
I liked what you said about the her memories are smeared. I
yeah,
think that's really nice.
thanks.
It fits.
I take full credit for her ability.
Yeah.
So, but
Um,
thank you. Yeah, well, I mean that's how it felt. And like you
mhm,
say, in my writing, I've only lately started, I write kind of thrillers, so
mhm,
I'm always trying to keep the pace. And sometimes I catch myself saying, he got out of the van, comma, checked his checked his watch, period.
mhm,
Even though
Yeah,
I know it's totally ungrammatical, I have no
yeah,
conjunction, but I'm
yeah,
just trying to, in the place in that paragraph, which is already a long freaking paragraph and pretty
yeah,
slow at parts, I'm going to speed it up. That's
yeah.
he's thinking. He's trying to go fast.
I
Uh,
mean, it follows,
yeah,
it's nobody's going to be confused by that,
right.
right? The action follows.
Nobody's going to circle it with a red pen and send it to
Mm,
me. Well, they
no,
might, but
no.
hopefully no one. If they do, I will hunt them down.
Yeah. I mean, those are very short, independent clauses,
Yes,
right?
yes. I'm
Yeah.
not like
Or just clauses, whatever. Yeah.
I'm not up to the Faulkner level that, he has
No.
one sentence that runs on for 2 pages.
Yeah.
And hopefully I
Yeah.
never will be. If I am, you need to do an intervention. I think I'm having some kind of neuro event.
Well, it depends on the context.
Yeah,
Maybe that's not right for a thriller unless the protagonist is having some kind of episode.
right. Or if he's terrified or something like that.
Yeah.
You know, um,
Yes.
yeah, the point of grammar and punctuation is to make the communication work better. And
Hmm.
normally,
Hmm.
99.9% of the time, you need all that coding
Mm.
to make it work. That's what I used
Hmm.
to teach my students, is
Hmm.
that it's not the commas and the semicolons aren't there because we want to, get you lower your grade. We're not marking it for that. It's to make you be able to write,
Yeah.
more
So people
clearly.
understand you,
Yes, and
or
express
you
yourself.
you create the effect that you're trying to create.
Right. With symbols on a page.
Right.
You got to use
Yeah.
the right symbols on the page.
Hmm.
Um,
That gets into the whole other territory, which we deal with later. Is like, well, what are your let's talk about your goals. Making
right.
judgments about people's goals, aesthetics, or whatever topic they're writing about. That's tricky too.
Yeah.
So,
I remember our great friend and mentor, Brandy Kirshner.
mhm.
Um,
The
and
reason we
many
know each other, he's the reason we know each
Exactly,
other.
and the great mentor and friend of many, many, many other people in this world.
Yes.
Uh, he used to say that he used to tell his English 101 students because he used to teach English 101. I guess they had to.
Wow.
Everybody, even the high level professors, your
Hmm.
fully tenured professors had to. Anyways, he said he didn't mind teaching English 101.
Hmm.
He said he would go in and say, "What I'm going to teach in this class is the writing equivalent of not picking your nose in public." And I used to say the same thing to my students.
That's
It's like,
so good.
yeah, run-on sentence, that's picking your nose. I mean,
Oh,
some
right. You're
people don't
just
know it's
gonna,
not right to
and
pick your nose in public, but
that is
that's
great. He was like a civilizing influence.
yes, exactly. So you take these
Oh,
freshmen who are like, furry, you know, smelly, unsocialized
yeah.
creatures.
Yeah.
You mold them into literate,
Mm-hmm.
presentable, marriageable people.
Marriageable people.
We're back to
That,
Jane Eyre,
that's
the men and the
beautiful.
women.
Yeah. Okay, so I have to say one other thing about Brandy. Maybe you know this story. But you're saying that he taught English composition. Maybe you
Right.
remember this, that when he first got to UF, for like the first 2 or 3 years, he was scheduled to teach all American literature.
Oh,
And of
wow.
course, his thing is British literature.
Right.
And he finally said something to the person who was doing the scheduling. And he said, I was hired to teach British literature. You know that, right? And then they finally started scheduling him for Brit Lit classes, but he went for quite a while just thinking
Right.
like, okay, they want me to teach American literature. I guess I'll teach American lit.
Let's live.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, I for our dear viewer, um, Brandon Kirshner was a world-known expert on James Joyce and uh, modern British literature in general, and maybe more than modern. I don't know, but my first class I ever took with him was modern British lit, and it was a great class. It was one of the highlights of my academic career, if not my young life at the time. So So he's
Yeah.
gonna probably Brandy's probably gonna haunt this channel like a
I hope
ghost.
so. I hope so.
Me too. Yeah, he deserves to.
Yeah. And he was a poet too and a
He
songwriter.
was. He was a very
Hmm.
good poet.
Hmm.
Yeah. I heard him read his poetry a couple of times at, readings.
Hmm.
That was really, really cool.
Hmm.
But we've digressed, haven't we? I don't know.
Yes.
We
Yeah.
circle back, or should we schedule? How much do you want to read to the next chunk? Do you want to read the whole part two or half of part two?
I don't, let's say the whole part two. I'm,
Whole
I'm,
part two.
I'm pretty well through it, although obviously I should reread because my retention is not the best.
Oh,
My retention of details apparently
I
is
mean,
not,
I think we're of an age where it's hard to keep it all in there.
I
I should speak for
guess.
myself.
No, it's true for me too.
I'm taking taurine. I'm hoping that'll fix it
Uh-huh.
all.
I'm taking taurine. It's not fixing it all,
Maybe
but
I need to up the dose.
maybe I do. Maybe I do. Oh, I
Mm.
started taking that collagen
Oh,
that you
cool.
recommended.
Yes.
Trader Joe's sells it.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
Okay.
I just stirred my first scoop into my morning coffee today.
Oh, good. I hope
Yeah,
it,
it tasteless and does not change the viscosity of the coffee,
right.
which is
Perfect.
crucial.
So
Crucial.
the viewer can profit from that
Yeah.
collagen
Yeah.
once a day. Um, so yeah. So okay, we'll do all of part two,
Okay.
and I guess we can do the scheduling bit offline.
Okay.
Figure that bit out,
I
and
suppose. Yeah. Okay. I guess, yeah. Do we say goodbye now? Are you going to
yes.
edit this out or we're just saying goodbye and then we can pick up?
Why don't we stop the recording and then we can chat for a
Oh
bit.
yeah, good. Good
Goodbye,
idea.
dear viewer.
Bye,
See you next
people.
time. Hit the like button.